Hey guys, Scott with the Davidson Realty team, Real Estate Made Easy. Question that people ask, what's my first step? You know, you're looking at Zillow, you love this house, you're like, can I afford it? Do I want it? What's your first step? Obviously, your first step is to call me and let me direct you through this. But what I'm going to honestly tell you to do first and foremost is let's connect you with one of our approved lenders. And the lender, the reason this is so important is because I want you to know what you can afford and what you want to afford, because there is a difference. Let's say you get qualified, you could buy a $750,000 house, but the reality is you like the budget that a $400,000 house creates. When the lender tells you, well, the $750,000 is going to cost you, $5,000 a month, but the $400,000 is going to be about $2,700 a month or $2,800 a month, and you go, you know what, I kind of like the $400 model, so let's shoot that direction even though you can afford more. But what are the questions the lender's going to ask you? The lender's going to ask you for your social. I don't want to know your social. I have no reason to know that. They're going to ask you that so they can pull your credit. Typical credit you're going to want to have is probably 580 to 600 plus. If it's not quite there, the lender can probably give you some good tips on how to increase your credit. So that's a super important phone call, right? They're going to mention 2 years in several scenarios. 2 years. They want you in the same industry for 2 years. They're probably going to want to see 2 years of tax returns to make sure you're current on your tax paying. And the IRS will kind of keep you informed on all that stuff. I mean, if you haven't paid your taxes, nobody wants to lend on a house because the IRS could take the house. And then the lender says, well, that was useless. So they're going to ask you probably for the 2 most recent pay stubs you've had. They want to make sure you've been at the same position for a while. Now, that can get very, very tricky. Most of the 2-year thing is they want to know, have you been in the same industry for 2 years? So for example, if you just changed in July from Home Depot to Lowe's, same industry, same kind of business, they just want to see how it flowed through. No big deal. If you went from being a veterinarian to all of a sudden you're an actor, they might have an issue with like, okay, where's the money coming from? So these are the questions they're going to ask, right? A VOE, verification of employment, they're going to go back and check that you said you work for Lowe's. I want to make sure that you truly do work for Lowe's. When I call the manager of Lowe's and he says, Scott who? That's not a good sign, right? And verification of funds is the other part. Let's say you want to do a conventional loan and it's going to cost 5% down. It's a $200,000 loan, and they say, well, that means you obviously need $10,000, and you come up with a bank statement that shows you have $1,500. They're going to look at that with a little bit of a frown and go, well, where do you expect to get the money? Now, one of the things to keep in mind as well is that if you got self-employed or side jobs and they're cash, let's say you make Afghans or quilts and you sell them for $100 a piece, well, that money may or may not be able to be counted as income, and it may be a substantial portion of your income, but you need to talk to your lender about how to paper trail that and make sure it can be claimed, right? Because if you're not paying taxes on it, then they're probably not going to let you claim it. It's all coming down from the IRS, right? So these are great lender questions. So let us connect you with a lender, and we'll get you pre-approved, and we'll be happy to show you as many houses as your heart desires to see. Give me a call. You know my name, you know my number.